Yo, what is going on, guys? This is the Jay Cartere Show. I am Jay Cartere. Before we start, in this episode, we'll be talking about the Hollywood harassment scandal. But first up, let's have a word from our lovely, beautiful, great guy sponsor. Let's get involved. This episode of the Jay Cartere Show Podcast is sponsored by me at growonyoutube.com. If you want to grow your YouTube gaming channel, then growonyoutube.com is the place to go. I just released my new book, A Gamer's Guide to Greatness, which will show you how to grow your YouTube gaming channel and turn it into a business. You can get that at growonyoutube.com/guide. If you want to grow your YouTube gaming channel and turn it into your career, make a full-time living, become a full-time YouTube gamer, actually build a business around it, then this book is for you. If you just want to live off AdSense and become a big YouTuber and be broke, then this book is not for you. It's not for anyone who wants overnight success or anything like that. But go to growonyoutube.com/guide if you think this will be helpful for you. You can see the reviews of happy customers who have purchased the book already and are now using the strategies in there to grow their own YouTube gaming channels. Now, I basically created the book that I wish I would have had when I first started out on YouTube. I've spent a variety of years. I think I started in around 2011, and I did a lot of experiments, a lot of research, a lot of trial and error in order to find out what actually works. So I've distilled all of that and put it into this book, this guide, so you guys can know what works and grow your YouTube gaming channel. I've grown my YouTube gaming channel to over 24,000 subscribers. When this comes out, it'll probably be even more than that. I don't know. It's continually growing. It's always growing, and it's going to continue growing because I know what works. I know what works now, and I've put that in this book to show you what works. And if you want that, go to growonyoutube.com/guide. Now let's get into the episode. This podcast, in this podcast, it's going to be a bit of a spicy podcast that will probably offend some people. So if you are easily offended, if you like to, be recreationally offended, this may not be the podcast for you. And honestly, I don't give a shit about your feelings at the end of the day. So, don't listen if you don't want to listen, but I am always open to feedback and discussion. I definitely want this to be an open discussion. This isn't just me saying, this is right and this is wrong. But in this episode, I want to talk about sexual harassment. And the title of this episode is Hollywood Harassment, because I believe this whole new wave of sexual harassment coverage has started with the Harvey Weinstein debacle last year in 2017, when it came out that Harvey Weinstein had been sexually harassing women in the movie industry for ages. And, that sort of stuff, like the Hollywood casting couch and that sort of shit, was things that I thought existed, I guess, but never really thought about it on a day-to-day basis. And first of all, I just want to say, anyone who's out there sexually harassing women, raping women, doing anything negative towards women or towards anyone, you're a piece of shit. I don't agree with that whatsoever. Harvey Weinstein, his particular situation, there's a lot of evidence stacked against him. I think he's probably a piece of shit. He probably done a bunch of the stuff. I'm not saying he done everything that everyone's accused him of, but he probably done a high number of it. There was a bunch of payouts. There was a clause in his contract that said if he sexually harassed someone, he'd have to pay out. So I'm thinking, if that's written into your contract, you probably got some history of doing some shit and people probably know about it. And I think that whole situation is disgusting, terrible. I don't agree with that at all. I think he should definitely be punished. It doesn't seem like there's any punishment coming through. I saw he went to rehab or something. I don't think he's actually been charged, which is unfortunate. But, you know, that specific case, you know, there was a lot of different accusations against him. There was accusations like he would invite people to his bedroom, not his bedroom, to his hotel room or something, or to a private place, and then, you know, whip out his dick or something, like go into the bathroom, come back naked, or have another girl there and try and get them to, you know, have sex with each other, and, you know, all that sort of shit. And you can't, like, if you're luring someone to a place under false pretense to get them to do sexual shit, that is just inherently bad. Even if, you know, you lure them there under a false pretense and eventually you win them round to wanting to do sexual shit, I think that is just terrible behavior. But, you know, he done a bunch of shit. I think there was also accusations of rape and all that sort of stuff. Terrible stuff, terrible stuff. Then there were a bunch more stories. The biggest story that hit me, because, you know, this guy was one of my favorite actors, was the Kevin Spacey accusation, where I believe a gentleman who's now on the Star Trek series on Netflix accused Kevin Spacey of, I think he basically climbed on top of him or something, or just tried to have sex with him when he was a 14-year-old boy. And apparently Kevin Spacey was drunk and it was a party or something. You know, that's terrible. I think Kevin Spacey then replied by, you shouldn't laugh about this, it's terrible. But, you know, the reply was, it was funny because, you know, it's just not what you do. It's not what you do. If someone accuses you of sexual assault, like, his apology or response to the situation, because it's not technically apology, he didn't admit to what this guy was accusing him of. He basically said that, you know what, if that happened, then I'm sorry, it was terrible, you know, but as you said, I was probably drunk. And now I just want to let everyone know that I've been living my life as a gay man. Those things shouldn't have been in the same tweet in hindsight. Like, I understand what him and maybe his PR people were trying to do. They was trying to, like, you know, switch the attention from the accusation to the fact that he came out as gay. And that seemed to work for a day. It seemed like a lot of news organizations were reporting the fact that Kevin Spacey came out as gay. But it didn't end there. Like, people did not shut up about it. They kept on going on about it. And eventually, you know, they took him out of House of Cards. They took him out of, I think the video was All the Money in the World. I think the film's called All the Money in the World, something like that, where he was playing this old rich guy. They took him out of that and put in some other old guy to play the character instead. And this was a really disappointing thing for me, because I was very disappointed in Kevin Spacey. He's like one of my favorite actors. I really didn't want to believe that he was out here trying to have sex with 14-year-old boys. And I also wanted to see the end of House of Cards. It's like one of my favorite shows on Netflix, and it's one of the shows that I recommend so much because it's amazing, and I think Kevin Spacey does a great job in it. But, you know, you can't support people who are, you know, doing that sort of shit. It doesn't, there does, like, the conversation of, can we forgive someone who did something like, I don't know how long it was ago, like 20 years ago? Like, should we take away all their shows and not allow them to earn a living or to appear in any future shows? You know, that is a conversation to have. I'm not sure on the answer to that conversation. It really depends on the severity of what they did and if it's a thing that they're continually doing to this day. But, you know, anyone can do something, get caught for it 20 years ago, keep on doing it, not get caught for it, and then say, you know what, I'm a changed person. So that's up in the air. I'm disappointed in Kevin Spacey for doing that shit if he did. And I'm also disappointed that we don't get to see the end of House of Cards. I really, like, I know it's bad. I know it's really, really bad to say, but I would have wanted, like, this dude waited this many years, yeah? I think he could have waited until House of Cards was finished. He could have. And, you know, there's no disrespect to him. It's his right to come out and say what happened to him if it did at any point in time. But, you know, he could have had some consideration. That is terrible. Nah, that is a terrible thing to say. I'm very empathetic to him. If that did happen to him, then it's very terrible stuff. But obviously, you know, my heart was in House of Cards. Now that's a show that's basically not going to conclude in the fashion that I had believed it was going to conclude in. So that is disappointing, but I can't really complain. It's no one's fault except for Kevin Spacey if he did do that shit. And that's a big thing. A lot of these accusations, like, it's just he said, she said. It's this person saying that something happened and this person saying that it didn't happen. And I understand the thing that people are coming out with, like the mindset of we got to believe all the victims. Like, I think there was a hashtag like believe women or something like that. I'm strongly against that sort of blanket thinking. I think that is stupid. I think when you throw critical thinking out the window, it's going to spiral down into, you know, terrible circumstances, because everyone who says that they've been sexually abused or raped or anything like that, everyone who says that is not telling the truth. Like, that is just true. Everyone who says that is not telling the truth. Like, maybe most people that say it are telling the truth, but you cannot believe that everyone, 100% of people who come out with that tell the truth, because people lie. People lie every day. And I'm very cognizant of that. I know that people lie every day. I've seen it in my day-to-day life. I've seen it outside of my day-to-day life. I've seen it in other people's lives. People lie. Like, that is just a fact. People do lie. That is something that happens. And I understand, especially from women and people who would never lie about rape or sexual assault or anything among those lines. I understand why they would believe that everyone, like, that people wouldn't lie about it, basically. Because I've had a conversation with my girlfriend in the past. And honestly, she was very naive. I believe, because she was like saying that she didn't think that girls would lie about being raped. And I completely understand that. If you personally are a woman, or, you know, you're a guy, it really doesn't matter what gender, because anyone can get raped. But let's just focus on women. Let's say you're a woman and you would never, ever dream of crying wolf and saying that someone raped you if they didn't. It's going to be hard for you to believe and understand that just because you believe that, just because you're like that, doesn't mean that everyone else is like that. There are fucking scumbags out there. There are false rape accusations. It happens. It definitely does. And in my young years... Like, when I first started having sex around, 14 and whatnot, I was particularly afraid of catching a case. So I made sure that there was no way whatsoever that anyone could ever accuse me of any sexual misconduct, of any shit like that, because I was extremely careful in making sure that the other party engaged in the sexual activities was 100% on board with what was going on and all that sort of stuff. And I wasn't too pushy or whatever, because I didn't want to catch a case. I didn't want a girl to regret having sex with me or something like that, and then be like, you know what, I regret it. Let me just say I was raped. Because that fucking happens. That happens more than you probably think it does. And, like... it happened to people when I was growing up, and it's fucked up. It is super fucked up, because once someone says that you raped them, everyone else just looks at you as a rapist. Like, it's not like someone says you raped them and then, we have a logical conversation and we try and look at the evidence. No, a lot of people just respond to this shit emotionally, and that is what I've been seeing in a larger way on social media, on the internet and that sort of stuff over the past couple years, with the whole, rape culture thing and the term rape just being stretched to a bunch of different activities. Like back in my day, rape used to be when you forcefully had sex with someone. That was rape, yeah? Now, it's like if someone's drunk, then that's possibly rape. Like, I'm not talking about if someone's catatonic and they can't actually, understand what's going on. Like, that is rape. If you're having sex with someone who doesn't know what's going on, like, don't do that. But if I'm drinking and my girlfriend's drinking and we get down and we have some sex, like, some people now would look at that and be like, you know what, that's rape because, you were drunk, you couldn't really consent. But then it also pulls into question, why, like, are you not responsible for your actions when you're drunk? Because if someone's drink driving, you'll go to jail for that, or you'll get arrested, or you'll get a charge, whatever. You'll be that is a crime. To drink under the influence is a crime. You have to take responsibility for that. So why then are you not supposed to take responsibility if you drink and put yourself, let me not say put yourself in a situation. If you drink and you get drunk and while you're drunk, you think that having sex with this person is a good idea. And then, the next day or in the next week when you're sober, you then reflect and you're like, you know what, that wasn't a good idea. I don't think there's any take backsies in that situation. Like, you decided that it was a good idea. I've never been drunk enough to make a decision that I didn't believe was true to me. Like, I've never been in that position. And I've seen, I don't know how other people handle their liquor. I've seen, TV shows where people get blackout drunk and people have claimed that they've blacked out or they don't remember shit. That personally doesn't happen to me. So I feel totally responsible for anything that goes down while I'm drunk, because I just believe that alcohol releases inhibitions. It makes you a little bit more ready to free up the realness, to be honest, in my case. So I can't really speak to how that happens for other people. But, if you're knocked out, no one should be touching you. That's fucked up. Like, but if you are tipsy and you're aware enough to know what's going on, then I don't think you can say, you took advantage of me. But personally, I wouldn't have sex with a drunk lady if I wasn't drunk myself, because I wouldn't want to be put in the position and the situation that she could claim that I took advantage of her later down the line. I'd rather wait for her to be sobered up. But if I'm drunk as well, then, we're both getting involved. Like, what? If she says I, took advantage of her, I could say she took advantage of me. What the fuck? But yeah, that's my thought on it. But the term, as I said, the term rape has been expanded to so many different things, with, the social justice warriors just coming out and calling everything rape, and calling people who want to logically look at any case where someone, accuses someone of, doing anything near rape or sexual assault or anything like that. They always want to say that, you're a rape apologist if you have a different opinion other than, the girl's obviously right. If you ever apply any critical thinking, they'll try to label you a rapist, a rape apologist, all that sort of shit. And I think that's silly. I think that's just dumb. That's just bypassing the facts. That's bypassing, just simple common sense. Like, if anyone claims anything in my life, I don't believe shit until there is sufficient evidence. You can say anything. I neither believe nor disbelieve you until there is evidence. And that's the way I approach situations. So I do not believe in believing all women. I do understand why people would want you to do that, because then, victims feel safer coming out because they think that they're going to be believed. There's less fear of not being believed, I guess. And I understand that. I understand the thought behind it. I think it's, good intentions. But I believe that if you believe everyone, you're just getting rid of all your common sense, and you're totally neglecting the fact that people lie, and people do lie. So, that's my thought on that. I've kind of forgotten where I was going to go from that specific thing from... Yeah, okay. So, I've never been in a situation where a girl has told me that she's been sexually assaulted or raped or anything like that, and I've defaulted to, what were you wearing, or what did you do to bring this on yourself? Never. So I don't understand why people would think that that's the natural reply to that sort of thing. But, I can't speak for everyone. Maybe there are people out there that do think like that. Maybe that's even a lot of people. So then that's the way, people would think about that. I always try to look at things from other people's point of view. But me, myself, if someone told me that they were raped, I would ask. Well, it depends on who's talking about it. That is a touchy subject. You wouldn't really want to delve too deep if they don't want to. You don't want to make them upset or anything. But I would reserve judgment until, not judgment, but I would reserve my opinion until hearing the full story. Like hearing what the rape in question actually consisted of, what happened beforehand, what happened after. If it was real rape, which I believe is someone forcefully having sex with you, or you not wanting to have sex with someone and them not listening to the fact that you don't want to have sex with them and having sex with you anyways, or something like that, then, that is rape. And I'd think, that's rape. That was terrible. But in this day and age, as I said, that word just encompasses so many different meanings now, because the social justice warriors have just totally blown it out of proportion. So I really wanted to talk about the Aziz Ansari situation that happened very recently. Let me just tell you what the date is. I should have done this at the beginning, because this is probably going to come out a little bit down the line. The date is 16th of January. And a couple days ago, there was an article released about Aziz Ansari, about his sexual misconduct, apparently. And I think the title of this was something like, photographer says, date with Aziz Ansari was the worst night of my life, or some shit like that, yeah. And I'm going to briefly explain what happened. I will include the article in the show notes, because I do believe people need to, look into things themselves. Just don't believe what people say to you straight away. Do your own research. But I saw, there was a whole Twitter moment about it. A bunch of people saying, he's terrible. Aziz is disgusting. He made a career on being respectful of women, and this just shows how he's not respectful of women and all that sort of shit. And I read the article because I like to read things before coming to an opinion, before formulating my idea on the subject. I don't just read headlines and go forward with that. If I just read a headline, I won't talk about it. I won't tweet about it. I won't have an opinion on it, because I know I don't know the full story, or at least the full story presented. So, in this article, there was this... Let me explain it like this, okay? There's this lady, let's call her Brenda, yeah, who's a photographer. She has requested to not share her identity. Now, straight off, that makes me a little bit skeptical. And I know, fair enough. If you are coming out with accusations against someone who's in the public eye, then it makes sense for you to want to withhold your identity so that you don't get the blowback, you don't get their fans coming after you, all that sort of shit, yeah? And especially if you feel like you've been violated sexually, maybe it's a little bit embarrassed, maybe you don't want to come out with that. So I understand it. I'm saying I was a little bit skeptical, but not enough for me to disbelieve the situation because she didn't put out her identity. Like, it's fair enough. You cannot put out your identity. I'm not saying that makes you a liar. So, and I'm not saying that she's a liar at all, by the way. So, let me explain the situation. So, Brenda, photographer, she was at a party. Aziz was at the party as well. She tried to talk to him, and I believe, like, she was really excited to talk to him, it seemed. Like, she was a fan of him, all that sort of shit. He was shooting pictures with some old camera. She was shooting pictures with some old camera. They bonded over that. She said at first it didn't really seem like he was into it, but then when she started to talk about old camera, he was, like, really interested, you know? And then they hit off, blah, blah, blah. Got the number. He got the number, and they arranged to meet up at a later date. So they met up in, I think it was a restaurant or something. They ate. I think they was eating or they was drinking. I don't remember. I don't remember fully. If you want to have the full situation, it was pretty biased though. You can read the article in the notes. But basically, they go to this place. They eat. They drink, and Aziz tries to get out of there pretty quickly. As soon as, you know, they finish the food or whatever, he's trying to get her back to his place. Now, I see this from a mile away as he is just trying to fuck. Like, you are a groupie to him right about now, yeah? Man met you at a party, you were really interested in shit, and he was like, yeah, let's go out. And now he's gone to some place down the road from his yard. I think they met at his yard, first of all, and then they went to this place down the block or whatever. And now, like, he's trying to get out of there and get to the business ASAP, innit? I think she was saying how, you know, there was still, they hadn't finished their drinks, there was still wine in the wine bottle, and it seemed like he was trying to, you know, rush when the bill came and all that sort of stuff. He just wanted to pay it and get out of there. I can totally understand where he was coming from. He didn't want no long thing. He just wanted to be and get out of there, innit? Like, that's just what he wanted to do, innit? I completely understand that. But it seems like she was from the mindset of, no, this guy's supposed to like me. What are you doing? Like, she didn't understand that this was what it was. And, you know, that's just naivety, to be honest. That's your personal problem at the end of the day. At this point, you should have really seen that man's just trying to beat. But fair enough, you know. She goes back to his place. If you didn't want to go back to his place, you shouldn't have. But she goes back to his place. Fair enough, you can go back to someone's place without any intention of having sex with them or anything of that sort. And I think he starts, you know, lips in and stuff, and she's on the counter, and he puts his fingers in her mouth and tries to finger her and shit. And I think what she says in the article is that she was given a lot of non-verbal signals that she was uncomfortable. And first of all, let me stop you right there, yeah? You cannot sit around and give non-verbal signals and expect anyone to understand those non-verbal signals. I don't care how clear you think you are being. Do not expect anyone to understand those non-verbal signals. If you do not want to do something, say straight up, I do not want to do it. If you want to say no, say no. Don't go along with it and show non-verbal signals. Like, what kind of BS is that? How do you expect the other person to effectively understand what's going on if you can't make the effort to use words? The common way that people communicate, using words, like, use the same language, use words, communicate what you're feeling, like, straight up. Like, don't be a clown and think that, you know what, he's gonna pick up on hints. Like, that is just fucking stupid. But, you know, fair enough. At some point in this situation, Aziz is like, where do you want me to fuck you? Which is just, Like, the story, he is, in this situation, he's being a bit of a sleazebag. He's being very, very pushy. And she was like, basically, she said she didn't want to do that till, maybe the second date or something. And he replied with something along the lines of, if I pour you another glass of wine, does that count as another second date? Now, I personally see that as, him trying to be flirtatious and trying to persuade her to come around to freeing up the nun and taking off the panties. And fair enough. I believe in, you can continually try to persuade someone, even if they say that they're not into it. You can try to persuade them, but I wouldn't be too pushy. After a girl tells me, she's not into it, I'm not really going to push the issue. If I sense that she's getting into it a little bit later as we got more comfortable and shit, then maybe I'll try again. But he seemed to be really, really adamant of trying to get this beat. Like, this is all he wanted to do. He just wanted to fuck her and send her home, it seemed. And she obviously thought it was more than that. She thought she was going to be his girlfriend or something, which is, wishful thinking. And, she said she didn't want to do any of that. And he was like, fair enough. Do you want to just chill on the couch? And then, she went on the couch. They was like chilling. And then he was, lipsing her again, tried to finger her again. I think she said that he put her hand on his dick a few times and she moved it away, which is, fair enough. If a girl moved her hand off my dick the first time, I would probably maybe try once more to just make sure that that's actually what happened. Because you never know. Sometimes, maybe you put her hand on your dick and she needed to, get some sleep out of her eye or scratch an itch or something. And then she just forgot to put her hand back there. Second time she does it, that's a confirmation. She really does not want a hand on your dick. And then I'll be like, all right then, okay, no more of that. But apparently he continually kept on putting her hand there and whatnot. And from my perspective, it's like he's just trying to get her comfortable with it and trying to continually do it until she says yes. And, that's not the greatest strategy. It's not something I would apply. But if she hasn't explicitly said no, then I can understand why he would think that's okay. So she hasn't explicitly said, no, I don't want to touch your dick or anything like that. The only thing she's explicitly said so far is that she doesn't really want to have sex until basically the second date. So he's trying to finger her, this sort of shit. And then he asks her for a blowjob. She complies. She does it. In the article, it says that something like she didn't really want to or something, but she did it anyway. Bruv, straight up. If you don't want to do something, say no, I don't want to do it. I do it every fucking day. When people ask me to do shit, I say no. I don't go along and do it and then complain about the fact that I did it afterwards. Never. Just don't do it. And if you are sucking man's dick, yeah, I believe you are giving him signals that you are DTF. You are giving him signals that you are into this, you're down to fuck, you want to get involved. And if that is not the type of signal that you want to give out, maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't be sucking man's dick. Like, that's just what I believe. So, things progress. They go over to the bed, I think, and they end up being naked. And I think she doesn't go through with the sex or anything. And then she gets dressed, she leaves, and she cries on her way home because she feels terrible and all that sort of shit. And then I think eventually she starts talking with friends, after all this Me Too movement and shit comes out, this whole blow up of people just talking about sexual harassment and victims coming forward and people getting immense support and all that sort of shit, which is, it's good. It's good. I want victims of sexual assault and rape and all that sort of stuff to be able to come out, and for people who actually are out here committing these heinous acts to be brought to justice. 100% agree with that. But I do also believe that this whole big surrounding mainstream coverage of, this person's done this sexual assault and that person's done that sexual assault and this person's accusing that person, even when the things are minute. Like, for example, the Louis C.K. thing, like, a lot of the Louis C.K. thing was bad, but there was a specific example where he asked two women if he could wank in front of them, and they said yes, and then he wanked in front of them, and now it's sexual harassment. No! You said yes. You consented. Next time, say no. If you don't want a man to wank in front of you, say no. If you're saying yes to a man wanking in front of you, then I think it's fair to assume that maybe he's going to pull out his dick and wank in front of you. But I do understand their point of view. They thought it was a joke. They thought that, maybe he was playing about. He wasn't really going to actually do it. But you don't consent to things that you don't want to happen. And if you say yes by accident, then you can't come back and call sexual harassment. You can't. Because, maybe you accidentally said yes, but still you said yes. Nevertheless, you've sent mixed messages. You can't expect the other person on the other end to be like, they said yes, but they didn't really mean it. How the fuck is that person supposed to know? So away from that, things like that been blown out of proportion. And, a lot of little things here and there been blown out of proportion. I feel like it's really wild these days, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So this whole coverage, this whole, I don't know, what's the word? The word isn't madness. The word is, fuck it. Yeah, this whole shit is happening, yeah. A bunch of people are saying that things are sexual assault, saying that this is sexual assault, that's sexual harassment, all that sort of shit, innit? And I think this is going to make certain people convince themselves that they've been sexually harassed even when they haven't, because they just don't feel good about a situation. And that is really, really bad. So in this situation, she was talking to her friends. She wasn't sure if she was sexually harassed, and then she had some conversations with her friends who persuaded her that she was sexually harassed or that it was sexual misconduct. And, that's telling. Obviously, there are situations in which victims blame themselves. They aren't sure if this was sexual harassment or not, and you can talk to some people and they can let you know if it is, and if you should feel like you've been harassed in this way. And I think that's fair enough. But I also think that there's also the situation where you haven't been sexually harassed, and you may be surrounding yourself with people who are hysterical about the whole climate of this sexual harassment shit and may attribute sexual harassment to an awkward situation, basically, which I believe is what happened here. I believe there was miscommunication, like gross miscommunication, because this lady in question, let's call her Brenda, as I said before, did not want to verbally say, I do not want to suck your dick, stop fingering me, let's not do anything sexual at all, don't do that, let's just chill and watch a movie maybe next time. She didn't want to say any of that. She didn't want to specify what she was down to do and what she wasn't down to do. Maybe because she was a little embarrassed. She didn't know how to be frank like that. I know a lot of people just aren't able to express themselves straight up like that and just be blunt and honest. Like some people have the ability to, like myself personally, if I don't want to do some shit, I'm going to let you know. I'm not going to sit around and, half-heartedly do it and then moan about it later. That's a dickhead thing in my opinion. So, this whole article is basically a hit piece on Aziz Ansari because he's got a name, in my opinion, and I don't care for it. I also don't like the fact that when someone is accused, it seems, as far as I can see, that the majority of people, or at least a lot of people, just automatically label that person a rapist, a sexual harasser, all these terrible things without, waiting for evidence, for actual replies from the other side, waiting to actually assess both sides, all that sort of shit. People just go straight ahead and be like, you're a terrible person. And then, later down the line, when the victim sometimes comes up and says, you know what, that didn't happen, or it was overblown or something. That story doesn't get as much coverage, and I think that's really, really harming. But I do want to talk about the nature of sexual harassment and where we're going as a society in the future, because it is wild, boy. It is wild. Now it's like anything can be sexual harassment. They're saying like being in the workplace and complimenting someone is sexual harassment. And here's how I feel about that, yeah? I understand that it can be unprofessional to, say that a woman's attractive or something, blah, 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 if you're in the workplace, if you're their superior or something like that. Even if you're not their superior, it might be awkward because they work there and maybe they're not interested in you. But that's the thing. It's sexual harassment if she's not interested. If she is interested, then it's flirting. And you can't know if it's going to be sexual harassment or if it's going to be flirting until you try, or until you look in the mirror and assess whether you're ugly or not. If you're ugly, it's likely going to be sexual harassment. If you're not, then she might be into it. But then you don't know, because you might think you're good looking and you might not be her type. So really, it's a bit of a sticky situation. So it's wild. Like, a lot of romances start in the workplace. I personally met my girlfriend when I went to a meeting, when I was applying to be a writer at Link Up TV or some shit like that, and she was there. I didn't sexually harass her or anything. I don't think I gave her any weird compliments or anything. And we got into more communication, after and whatnot. And I started talking to her after I realized she was at my college. But maybe calling someone pretty at your college is sexual harassment. I've called girls pretty when I was at college, like, because I'm a really honest person. I've called girls attractive just because I thought they was attractive and not because I wanted to fuck them. I just like to speak my mind, because I think there are a lot of insecure people who don't know that they're attractive and stuff and that sort of shit. And I like to just say what's on my mind. If I ever see something that I want to compliment, I like to just say it straight up, because I believe not enough people do that because they don't want to be a kiss ass, or they just don't want to give props, or, all that sort of shit. So even if I don't want to have sex with someone, if I think you're beautiful, I might tell you, you're beautiful. Don't worry about that. Or, you can use this to your advantage. I won't be like, oh, you're beautiful, I'd love to suck your toes. Because I'm not into that, and because that is just inappropriate. Like, that goes to the next level. But it seems like these days, almost anything can be sexual harassment. If you're with a girl and you try to kiss her and she's not into it, that might be sexual harassment. You might be called a sexual harasser because that happened. If you're about to have sex with a girl and you're getting to that point, you're kissing, all that sort of shit, you whip out your dick and then she's like, nah, I don't want to do that. That might be sexual harassment. It seems like it's getting really blown out of proportion these days. And it's a bit wild. I think that common sense really needs to be, let me not even be fucking, let me not live in a dream world. Common sense is never coming. Like, the majority of common sense has never been common. Like, there's no such thing as common sense. Like, that is a myth. It's an oxymoron. There is no common sense. There's common stupidity, definitely. And I think that needs to be eradicated, hopefully, eventually. I highly doubt it ever will be. But I just want people to look at situations for what they are. Take every situation one by one. Every situation is nuanced. Every single report is different. Don't treat everything as a blanket report. Don't treat everything as the same type of thing, because we need to look into what actually happened, what actually led to these circumstances, all that sort of thing. All those things matter in the grand scheme of things, and I really think that those things need to be looked at in order to actually form an opinion on something. And you should also wait for some evidence before forming your big opinion. And as I said, this is recorded in January. I think it's the 16th. So there may be more evidence that comes out against, Aziz or any of the people that I mentioned in this, and I'm always ready to change my opinion and to evolve. So I'm not saying that Aziz or anyone is innocent. Definitely not saying that. Not innocent of anything, because I don't know them. I don't know what they're innocent of. I can only speak for my fucking self, because I know I don't lie. I don't lie to myself. I don't lie about myself. I don't lie. So I can believe myself. Next man, he might be lying to me. Even if he's got a reason why he's lying or something. I don't know. Like, there's no good reason to lie personally to me if you're lying to me. Like, just tell me the truth. I'd rather the truth 100% of the time. But I want to know you guys' views on the current state of sexual harassment. And, moving forward, how do you believe this is going to continue? Obviously, I think it's positive that victims feel more comfortable coming out. But I also think it's very negative that people are just being condemned straight away without any due process. It's like people are guilty until proven innocent, and I don't believe that's the way it's supposed to be. I think that's very debilitating. I think when an accusation comes out, we should say, okay, there's an accusation coming out. Let's look into it. We shouldn't say, there's an accusation coming out, this person is guilty. I think that is silly. I think that is very, very silly, and that's oversimplifying the situation. So, that's my thought on the thing. I think the Aziz Ansari thing was a hit piece. I don't really think he sexually harassed that lady at all. I don't think it was sexual misconduct, but it depends what you define sexual misconduct as. If you think it's like just doing some shit that you probably shouldn't have done, then, maybe he done some shit that he wasn't supposed to do. He should have calmed down. He was a bit overly pushy, I believe, but I think he was trying to persuade her to have sex with her because to him she was a groupie chick and she was there to give up the naan. And I'm not saying that's positive, I'm not saying that's great, but I'm saying I see it from his POV, I see it from her POV as well, but I just think there was definitely miscommunication there, and that is what he alluded to in his reply to that situation. He was like, you know what, it must have been a lot of miscommunication. He must have misread signals and shit. And I think there's definitely a lot of miscommunication. If you're saying, I don't want to have sex, you're saying you're giving all these verbal signals to say you don't want to have sex, you don't want to do anything, and then you're sucking dick. Like, you can't do both. You can't do both. You got to either suck a dick or don't suck a dick. Like, you got, like, those are your options. Don't suck a dick or suck a dick. You either want to do it, you don't want to do it. If you don't want to do it, stand by that. Stand by your fucking morals. Stand by what you want to do. And also, I wanted to quickly touch on the new sexual harassment of, someone being in a position of power. I do get it. I get it if someone's in a position of power, like they're your boss or something like that, and they say something to you or they try to get you to do something sexual. That is terrible because you don't really... You kind of are a little bit without a lot of choice in that situation because maybe you think that your job's on the line, maybe you think, you need to do it for your career to succeed and all that sort of shit. I understand that. But I think that it's unfair to say that just because someone's in a superior position to you, that any advances they make on you is sexual harassment. I think that's unfair. If someone says, yo, yeah, do you want to, let's have sex, otherwise you're going to get fired, that is sexual harassment. That's terrible. If someone says, let's have sex and I'll give you a promotion, to me, that's not sexual harassment. That is quid pro quo. That is capitalism, in my opinion, although I do understand why some people would be like, that is shady behavior. That is, of course, shady behavior, and I don't agree with it. But I also believe that a lot of men aim to be successful and aim to amass riches and power and all that sort of shit in order to have sex with a lot of women or more women or women in general. Like, that is why a lot of men strive for success and riches and power and all that sort of shit. So I think it's very surprising that people are surprised that people try to use their power and riches and stuff to have sex with women. That's why do you think he done that? I mean, some people, you know, maybe they have different reasons, but a lot of men, they become rich and powerful because they want to fuck women or fuck men, I don't know. And, you know, that's just common sense to me. Although, if you're abusing your power to be like, yo, if you don't have sex with me, this is going to happen to you, then that's bad. But if you just got rich and powerful so that you can provide opportunities to people in order to make having sex with you more appealing, then I think that's just you using, you know, your success to your advantage. To be honest, if you have a different opinion on it, please let me know. I am very interested to see what other people think on that. But, you know, you got to be very clear in that, I think, because if there's any thought that if they don't do it, then they'll be punished, then again, that's sexual harassment. So you got to be like, you know, if you do this, I'll give you a promotion. But if you don't do it, it's fine. Like, well, that's obviously not the most persuasive argument, but it's more morally correct. I don't even know if morally correct is a correct term, because who's to say what's morally correct and what is not? I think it's more ethical to offer something as a reward and let the person know that there will be no punishment for not taking you up on the offer. But then you could argue that that person's still going to think that there's punishment because you're in a position of power. But then, come on. How much blame are you going to put in someone for being rich and successful? What, because I'm rich and successful and I'm in a position of power, I can't ever see one of my employees and think she's buff and try to, you know, get in on that? That's not fair. That's not fair. That doesn't make sense. But, you know, I guess that could be the way. If that's the way, then fair enough. But I think, you know, if you try to proposition an employee or someone you work with and they're not into it, yeah, I think you have a maximum of one more try. Like 2 tries and you're done. Like no more tries than 2. 3 is pushing it. 3 is like 3 strikes you out. Like once, if she's not into it, you know, okay, maybe, you know, first time jitters, maybe you got to get her there. Second time, she's not into it, forget her, man. Move on. There's so many more fish in the sea. But that's my opinion on it. This was a bit of a rant. This was a wild how many minutes? 50 minutes podcast, mad. But I did want to touch on a lot of things. A big reason why I started this podcast is so I could talk on the fact when the Kevin Spacey shit came out, because I really wanted to talk about it at the time, but I didn't really have an outlet that made sense for that. And now I've got the Jay Cartere Show. I can pretty much talk about whatever the fuck I want, and I don't care if people get offended or if they don't like it. I don't give a shit, boy. But I do want you guys to engage in the conversation. I do think this is going to be very interesting, as long as you can engage without just being emotional and with being respectful and actually presenting points, because then I can actually conversate back. If you just say, oh, you're wrong, you're a dick, then there's nothing much I can do for you. I'll just delete your comment, because that doesn't really add anything to the conversation. But if you really have a strong point, please back it up with, you know, evidence if you have it. Your reasoning for having that point, all that sort of shit. I really want to hear from opposite ends of the opinion spectrum. And obviously, after all these episodes come out, I will look into bringing guests on and stuff. So if you're interested in that and interested in discussing this with me, I think it'd be very interesting, because it's quite a hot button topic. We'll probably discuss all the other, you know, wild topics like religion, politics, transgenders, anything that's a little bit controversial. We'll probably touch on it, because I probably have an opinion, and it probably comes from a place of logic and not emotion, which I believe is very important when it comes to things like this. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Remember, growonyoutube.com/guide if you want to grow your YouTube gaming channel. I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace out. Remember to comment and all that sort of shit. Leave a review, you know, Twitter, all that sort of shit. Show notes, lovely. If you want to learn how I got over 23,000 subscribers and millions of views on my YouTube gaming channel, then you are in luck. Sign up to this free course right now. Link will be in the card, in the description, and in the pinned comment. Or go to growonyoutube.com/20k SEO course. In this course, you will learn the best way to write your video titles, tags, and descriptions to help you rank on the first page of YouTube. It's simple when you know what to do. I'll also show you a hack that will help you choose the right key phrases and help you create videos that can rank and get views no matter what game you play. Stop struggling to grow your YouTube gaming channel and start doing what works. Click on the link in the description or go to growonyoutube.com/20k SEO course. This course will not be up forever, so get in there as soon as possible. I hope to see you here soon, and I wish you the best of luck on your journey of turning your passion into your career.
It's been a cold winter and it's lasted far too long. So all this warmth I share with you